Good morning. Today is Monday the 25th. Yeah? No? Yes. Monday the 25th of February. Coming to you from Lock Haven, Pennsylvania. I have had a interesting weekend. You know, the winds are up today, so kind of get blown in and out. The winds were up this weekend and kind of re-injured this arm a little bit. Just because doors don't open when there's a vacuum due to the wind. So unconsciously I was using this arm to open up a door and yep, it's unhappy. What can I say? I hope everyone is nice and warm. If your weather is like our weather, it's crazy. I think Saturday it was in the 40s, almost 50s. Today we're back down into 30s. So, and this morning when I went to exercise, there were snow flurries. Yep, getting tired of this weather. You little rodent, Puxatani. Come on, spring. Hurry up. Let's go. Okay, I'm going to show you a few things that I have finished. Most of it has been knitting, just because. This is a washcloth. I have a small basket over here on the side that has a lot of odds and ends, and this was one of those odds and ends, so I made a washcloth. This is one of those magic pot holders that you crochet. You start, you know, with the length of it, and you crochet on both sides of that chain, and you just keep going, then it closes up on itself. Yeah, I had a little bit of cotton to use. And of course, if you're following on Yarn Bingo, you know that I made myself a hat. I have two jackets that have pink on them, and of course the pink is more of a very neon-y pink, but I also have the other jacket that I got at QVC for $13.20 that this will go with. So, and I've been working on adult hats. We have you know, our knit and run. There's always a need for adult hats. I've been using bulky yarn to make these. They're from Lisa. What does she call her channel now? Lisa's Lids of Hope? No. I'll find it and link it down below. But it's a real easy pattern. Size 13 needles, and you basically do a real simple cast on, and you knit one row, purl one row, then you do a knit one, purl one ribbing for about maybe 5-6 rows, and then you do a little garter stitch, and you can do a couple of them. I just did one, and then it's stockinette until it's about 6.5 inches, and then you start binding off. A real simple hat. I like these. They're quick. Maybe an hour and a half if you're looking around doing something else. That was another one. You know, I have a lot of donated homespun, so I'm using that for some of the tops on these hats that I'm making, because I don't really like working with it, but it's bulky yarn, works well. This is the same hat. The other hat, basically you cast on 40 stitches, this one because I wanted it to be for a male. I actually cast it on 48 stitches. It'll still fit female, but you can see that it's a pretty big hat. So I believe it'll fit a man. I haven't had my man try it on yet, so although I'd like him to try it on. The whips, I'm still working on that poncho with the looms, and that's a little slow going because this arm gets a little tired and gotta move on. I started a shawl, and this is one that I want to say it's Jonna Martinez has up. I will link it down below. But the pattern is one from My Pico, and I am using it's not a sweet roll, candy shop, and I can't remember the color. So those are the only whips that I have currently. But I thought we would discuss impulse buying. I am going to show you something that I purchased, and it's at a beautiful shop in Pine Mills, Pennsylvania, called Stitch Your Art Out. And this shop was owned by two women. Now, I purchased this before one of the owners was killed in an accident, and it was just after she'd published a quilting book, and it was just getting out there really well. She passed away, so of course the shop reverted over the way they had written out their insurance and everything, so it reverted over to the other woman. But I'd purchased this actually when Kimberly was working in the shop. We had a road trip. We stopped there, and this was a road trip that we'd gone up to Bell Springs, Pennsylvania for Mary Lee's fabric shop. We ate at a nice little restaurant. We did a couple of other shops, some Goodwills, thrift shops, those kind of things. And then on the way back, we stopped at Stitch Your Art Out. It was an impulse buy. And the yarn is beautiful. It's yarn. And I'm going to show it to you now. Look at that. That is absolutely stunning. This yarn is a yarn called Art Yarns, and it says Elevate Your Art Ensemble 4, and it is 50% silk, 50% cashmere, and you get 200 yards. And where I talk about the impulse buying, perhaps you should wait before you purchase something like this. I have no idea what I'm going to use with this. I get it out and I pet it because it is so soft and so squishy. But this little baby cost me $62. It was an impulse buy. And I bought this maybe 3-4 years ago. Still have not used it. I do have some perfectly beautiful silk that will go with this. But, yeah, it was totally an impulse buy. I had nothing planned. I walked past it 5-6 times in this shop. And this shop is a very small shop. And every time I petted it, picked it up, but it came home. So I teased because I could probably get a little scarf out of this. But it was very much an impulse buy. And my husband teases me to this day. He says, when are you going to work with that $62 yarn I bought you? I said, I don't know, honey. He goes, well, you need to make something with it and wear it. I know I do. But it was totally an impulse buy, and I probably shouldn't have ever gotten it. But if anyone has any ideas on what I can make, what kind of scarf I can make with this, doesn't need to be knit, can be crochet, whatever, put them down in the comments below. And I'll take a look. One of these days I'm going to have to ball it up, cake it up, and actually use it. That's it for today's podcast. It's pretty short. Now we'll get into the little segment I've started called What in Tarnation. And I'm going to start with the first one. Today, in U.S. Today, there was an article, and the article states, Weed Killer in Your Wine and Beer. There was a study done by the USPIRG, and they found that there were 5 wines, 15 beers they tested, including organic ones. And they found traces of the controversial weed killer glyphosate, which, is Monsanto, which is Roundup, basically. The brands include Coors Light, Miller Lite, Budweiser, Corona, Heineken, Guinness, Stella Artois, Dees, Samuel Adams. But what I thought was interesting is the wine. The one that had the most was the Sutter Home Merlot. And I have a couple of friends that really love Sutter Home Merlot, that are very health conscious. And I said, have you seen this? And of course they're like, oh my goodness. Good news is, an adult would have to drink more than 140 glasses of wine a day containing that to reach a level that the California Office of Environmental Health Hazard Assessment has identified as no significant risk level. So, if you want to read it, go to ustoday.com and you can see the full story and go to the study and whatnot. Second What in Tarnation. Police looking for thief who swiped steak off family's barbecue. Police are on the lookout for a carnivorous thief who allegedly swiped steaks from a family's barbecue in southwestern Ontario. According to the Ontario Provincial Police, a homeowner was preparing to cook steaks for their family in their garage in Norfolk County, Ontario, on Monday. They left the garage for a short period of time, and when they returned, the steaks were gone. They found that unknowns had entered the garage and removed them. They are currently investigating the incident. They reminded residents to report any suspicious activity or behavior in their neighborhoods to police. Perhaps Sasquatch got hungry. Now this one made me think of Christy from Christy's Corner Booth. It's the Clemson police say stop calling 911 to order French fries. Clemson police say after a slew of prank calls. After someone made a series of prank phone calls to 911 Wednesday, the Clemson City Police Department said, "It's no joking matter, it's a crime." And it is, folks. Police said on their Facebook 911, dispatcher has received 9 phony calls where the caller asked them to deliver French fries and a milkshake, among other jokes. In addition to order food, police said in the post that the girl giggled uncontrollably, went silent, and told dispatchers they were stupid. Fun fact: we do not deliver fries or any other foodstuff to your home. We don't even serve them to temporary residents of Ye Olde Gray Bar, said police, referencing the Anderson County and Pickens County detention centers in the Facebook post. The caller was described in the post as a young female by police who said she made the calls between 8 and 11 a.m. Police said they do not know who the girl is, adding they prefer her parents or guardian to provide discipline and discourage her from making any more phony phone calls, rather than getting law enforcement further involved. But police could intervene since misuse of 911 is a criminal offense under South Carolina Code of Laws 234780, according to the Facebook post. Additionally, a prank call to 911 could prevent someone in an emergency situation from getting help. Every time someone calls 911 for a goof, you're likely costing someone precious moments they'll never get back, when those moments could make a difference between receiving the help they need or not. Some of the people commenting on the Facebook post urged the police to try and use tactics to make the girl scared straight. Wish you could find out who that little brat was, put a scare in her, lock her up in the big girl jail, said one person. Another person wrote, think you should put the fear in that little brat, get the parents' permission, go to the house, handcuff her, put her in the back of the patrol car, and tell her she's going to jail. Using a variety of GIFs, police hinted they are not interested in that option. We would like the 911 calls to stop, so we don't have to stop chasing the thieves and violent offenders to call cell phone companies for locations of callers. Police wrote on the post, we all have bigger fish to fry, and we're just looking for some parental assistance. Okay, and my power just went out. That's interesting. Okay, and it's coming back on. The next What in Tarnation is from Lakeville, Minnesota. Apparently it must have been a rough morning for a duo of dogs in Lakeville, Minnesota that called 911 more than a dozen times while their owners were gone, prompting police to respond to their home. Turned out the Papillon and the Hound are the newest partners in crime. We were dispatched to a 911 hang-up call at a residence in Lakeville, said Officer Michelle Roberts of the Lakeville Police Department. Officer Roberts and her partner, Officer Emily Bears, have checked out their share of 911 hang-up calls, but not like this. It was just kind of weird. Usually people come to the door. Seeing 2 dogs go hyper is not something I see all the time, said Officer Bears. The officers rang the doorbell, walked around the house, and were about to clear the call when they learned that these pups had been hounding dispatch. Shortly after clearing, dispatch advised us they had multiple additional 911 calls, and all they could hear in the background was dogs barking, said Officer Roberts. And those 911 hang-up calls continued 16 times. The only suspects were the doggone residents. Officer Roberts was able to get a hold of the owner and got into the home through the garage. Went upstairs to his office where the cell phone was on his desk. It was an emergency call only, so in theory, a dog could have called 911 and pushed the phone with its paws, she said. Remy and Bomber had apparently taken matters into their own paws. Our assumption is the dogs were having a rough day, and it was the dogs that were seeking assistance through 911, she said. Maybe we'll never know the reason behind their call, and maybe we don't need to know. Anytime we can laugh and talk about dogs calling 911. If that's the biggest news of our day, that's a good day, said Officer Roberts. The owner told Fox 9 he was stunned at all about all of this, and he couldn't believe the pups could do something like call 911. But one thing's for sure, he won't be leaving his phone out again anytime soon. 2 dogs plus 1 cell phone equal 3 911 calls to dispatch. Did you 2 really need a potty break that bad? Pups advised of proper etiquette. That was what they wrote on the report. Now this is what they had posted on Twitter, and it says the garage code obtained, phone turned off. Dogs are back on the phone now. That's from the dispatcher. Duplicate call appended to instant at 8:53:24. Another call from phone. Duplicate call appended to instant at 8:51:09. Pended. A cellular rebid was accessed. Don't let your dogs call the police. I can imagine those 2 officers when they got in there and saw the dogs were actually the ones that were calling. I'm going to leave the links to the dog story below because the video of the officers explaining it is actually really funny. And yeah, it's something interesting to see. With that, that's going to close out today. I'm putting this up a day early because tomorrow is my day to go across the mountain for an embroidery class with my sewing machine. And you never know whether it's going to be a short day or a long day. So I'm going to get this up today or tomorrow, depending. And we'll see you again next week. Everybody, remember, have a great week and choose to be kind.